has heard all the secrets of the universe, be born in the Manavaloka. He gets to be called Matsyendra Natha later on. The founder of the Navanatha tradition, Yogi Adityanath Ji is one of the Mahants of the Navanatha tradition. Far away, Nandi is also sitting, and he also is privy to all the conversations that happen between Shiva and Shakti. Nandi also reincarnates himself from time to time and creates the Natha Sampradaya. That is another Natha tradition. Basavanna, who was the founder of the Lingayat system, we don't know if you want to call them a community, but it's a system in itself to achieve Shivatva. Even Muhammad Prophet was taught how to pray by a Natha Guru and how to pray at Makkah, who is Makkeshwar Nath. Geographically, with scientific proof, we get Afghanistan to Laos and we get Tibet to. So this is the farthest, widest reached Sampradaya.
Namaste. We are fortunate indeed to welcome Guru Moksha Ji to Sangam Talks today. Guru Moksha Ji is the founder of Rishikula Foundation. He is an archaeologist, an Indologist, a heritage conservationist, and a Natha Rishi. Welcome, Guru Moksha Ji.
Sri Shambho Ramanatha, namaste.
Gurudev, we know that in India, yogis and kings, the sacred and the quotidian, have always been attendant. There's no separate line or a demarcation that strictly segregates the two. So, in this context, let's begin our conversation with your Sampradaya, the Nath Sampradaya.
See, the Nath Sampradaya basically is the most ancient order of yogis. And there are in the Nath Sampradaya several different verticals. All of them derive their power from Agama Shastras. As you know, Agamas mean which has come from the top. So the toppest of them all is Shiva himself. And Shiva explains the secrets of life, the secrets of yoga, consciousness, the world, why we are here, and many other things related to spirituality. And these are documented as Agamas. Okay. So if you look at, of course, I have to bring a little bit of Puranas. If you look at Puranas, they will tell you that all this is story, all Agamas are happening either in Mount Kailash, or if you go by the Kashmir Shaivism, they are happening at Amarnath or Harmukh, somewhere on top of a hill in the Himalayas. So you will also find in the Puranas a cursed baby who is thrown into the waters. Some say Mansarovar, some say different names, but it's in the water in the shape of a fish, which is again recursed because it has heard all the secrets of the universe to be born in the Manavaloka. This is a good curse because these, timeless knowledge which we call as Sanatana can reach us, the Manavas. And he gets to be called Matsyendra Natha later on. The founder of the Navanatha tradition. All of us know Navanatha tradition is very popular in Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, North Indian parts. Yogi Adityanath Ji is one of the Mahants of the Navanatha tradition, who was the CM of Uttar Pradesh. Now, far away, Nandi is also sitting, and he also is privy to all the conversations that happen between Shiva and Shakti. Nandi also reincarnates himself from time to time and creates the Natha Sampradaya. Okay, like in the south, we have Kalamok, we have Lakulisha. Lakulisha is more towards Gujarat. We have what are called as the Veerashevas, Panchamasali Lingayats, and so many other Shaiva Siddhantas. These are traced back to Nandi as the propounder. Not one time, but he also reincarnates. So that is another Natha tradition.
Okay.
Which is slightly, it is the same truth being interpreted in a different way. Most of the times, like Basavanna, who was the founder of the Lingayat system, we don't know if you want to call them a community, but it's a system in itself to achieve Shivatva.
Acha.
He was both the prime minister of the Kalachuri kingdom and he is also the pontiff or the founder of a new way to Shiva.
All right.
New, renewed, let's call it. There's nothing new in Sanatana. So this way Nandi also comes. But who is the original recipient?
Parvati,
Yes. Okay, Parvati is only in this yuga, in this
Ji.
Manvantara.
Shakti.
Yes, we would like to call her Shakti or Devi.
Ji.
Okay. So Shakti is always there, and there are, rishis who are interpreting the love nothings between them. See, when you go meet your lover, there's nothing very substantial you ever talk. Always something which means actually nothing. But in this case, they are Shiva and Shakti. Even their sweet nothings is for us
Very meaningful.
liberation, isn't it?
True.
So they give us a map, and there is a very strong tradition established in the Rishi or the Grahastha, the householders tradition.
Ji.
They are also called Naths, going through the Shakti way. Of course, we see Shakti and Shiva as one.
Ji.
It is Shiva's Shakti only, right? So there is this third Natha Sampradaya, which is basically less represented because they are householders. You don't see them clad like I am. But I have also been ordered, like they say, Adesh, to bring the Rishi culture back into the Sanatana. So if you look at Indian history, modern Indian history, and question yourself as to what was there 1200 years back when the Islamic invasion began, which has completely disappeared. Zero, zilch. You will find that it is the Rishi Sampradaya. There are no, I'm not saying there are no Rishis or Rishikas. They exist, but they are not out in the open.
Okay.
You'll be surprised to know how many Rishis and Rishikas are there. But the system today doesn't allow people to come and claim or rightfully take the place of Rishis and Rishikas. Now, if you look at almost the entire length and breadth of Bharata, ancient Bharata, you will find a Gotra system.
Ji.
Gotra means a family or a Kula. Now, these Kulas or Gotras have one Guru, Rishi, who made babies. He's not a sannyasi. He's a householder. Many times, he's married several women. He has many wives, and they have children again, and they are all rishis. So there was a system which existed, which promoted seeing the truth for yourself. A rishi is basically a mantra drashtara who can see the mantra, which means see the reality without any books or reading, no mugging up and vomiting in the exams to get whatever distinction. That doesn't exist. Because you want to know the reality as it is. Even Tathagata, Buddha, the word Tathagata itself means the person who is able to see reality as it is.
It is.
He is also a rishi. Now, this Tathagata creates a monastic order. He says Sangha is also important. So he starts the Buddhist Sanghas. And after that, the sannyasi system also picks up in India. And if we have dated Gautama Buddha, the Lichavi prince, to around 2600 years from today, right? So it is not a very ancient phenomenon,
Right.
But if you look at other texts, you will find rishis appearing in all of them.
Yes.
Right? Even the name Bharata comes from Rishi Vishwamitra's grandson, isn't it? From Shakuntala's son. So everything boils down to the Rishi Kula.
Ji.
Here, when I shared with you, nobody wakes up one day and says, okay, I'll be a guru. So when my own sadhana was complete, and then for a lack of word, I'm going to say, sitting in front of the universal consciousness as my guru, and to understand what is it that is needed at this time, at the moment. The answer was clearly to reactivate the Rishi Kula through the Natha Sampradaya. Now, Natha Sampradaya is based on Agamas.
Ji.
The Rishi Parampara is based on the Vedas. So now we marry everything between Veda and Agama. There are a lot of other Siddhantas, principles, way of life. So you bring all that, like, Vaishnavachara or Shaivachara or Siddhantachara or Dakshinachara or Ramachara or Kaulachara or Agama Chara. So many types, many ways to reach the same Shivatva.
Right.
So all of them can be should be combined and presented to the world in a sustainable way, so that the spiritual leadership that Bharata had
Yes.
must be maintained and grown. And one of the places where this is already happening in a slightly different manner is Nepal.
Okay.
Okay, there they have the Agamas,
Ji.
they have all the Amnaya Pithas, but they are also Grihasthas and Rishis. So this is already happening in Nepal.
All right.
Of course, recently, sadly, they have declared themselves secular, which is very recent, like 15 years back or something. I'm not sure about the date, but beyond that, it was a Hindu Rashtra.
Yes.
And if you look at why India or Bharata lost all this, the reason could be we just simply neglected the rishis. And because we did that, we see today whatever we are seeing. But of course, there's a resurgence, as you know, and things are getting better. Now we have a parliament which has a Sengol.
Yes. Yes.
And hopefully we'll have Ram Rajya very soon. So things are changing for the better towards something more spiritual. And to facilitate it, the best sampradaya or the best parampara is Natha parampara. Because let's take the first biggest plus point of Natha. They are completely secular in the sense they don't belong to any one jati or varna.
That's true.
See, there are Brahmins and there are Rajputs and there are Dalits. So we don't like the word, but for modern parlance,
Usage.
or Vaishya. So it is a cross societal.
A heterodox tradition.
Yeah. More inclusive. There is no Pankta Bheda. Like if you come to our ashram, we don't ask you who you are. We don't even care if you belong to anything. As long as you're hungry and we are serving food, just sit with us. Share our happiness. If you have a moment, I want to explain why in all Indian homes we offer food to guests. Do you have a moment? It might be sidetracking a little.
No, let's do it.
So if you look at why you offer food to a guest, I mean, absolutely no Indian home will allow you to go without at least having chai.
Yes.
Chai to pi lijiye. And if you look back, and this is the Rishi Natha wisdom that we have deciphered. When you were a baby, the first thing you did was cry. Immediately after that, you are given to your mother who nursed you. And the first thought that registered in you and all of us is that, protection, love is equal to food, because mother is food.
Yes.
Mother is not giving you food, but mother is flowing to you as food.
True.
Doodh ban ke aa rahi hai. And the thought that we pick up is food is equal to love and protection. And you don't know, I don't know, but that is what happened.
Yes.
And this is deciphered by our ancient rishis and gurus and Natha leaders. Now, why would you want to exclude anybody from that love? Because the only way I can tell somebody, hey, listen, I love you and I protect you, because you are me actually, like you are Shiva, is to make them sit with you and have food. So if you look at any of the ashrams or mathas of the Nathas, you will never find any exclusive, what is called as Pangat in Hindi and Panktha or Pankti in Sanskrit. So Pankti Bhed nahi hai.
Acha.
That is the main thing. That is how you know that they are bringing it out in action.
Ji.
Right? That is the first thing, because they are very plural, very heterodox, very inclusive. Heterodox is also a very Western word. Very inclusive. आप भी शिव, मैं भी शिव, ये भी शिव, सब शिव. क्या भेदभाव करना? Now, second thing, if you look at the sheer geographical extent of the Natha Sampradaya, one way or the other,
Ji.
at least we get references of Nath temples and mutts from Afghanistan to Laos, from Tibet to Sri Lanka.
Ji.
Okay, other aspect, of course, if you go into legends, the other aspect is that even Muhammad Prophet was taught how to pray by a Natha Guru.
Okay.
And how to pray at Makkah was Makkeshwar Nath. So many, these are legends, okay? But geographically, with scientific proof, we get Afghanistan to Laos and we get Tibet too. So this is the farthest, widest reached sampradaya.
Ji.
Okay, this is the second point. Third point, it is also combines yoga and tantra together. Okay, so people who are scared of tantra, this is, we are not talking about this whatever tantric kind of stuff. We are talking about Shakti
Yes.
and the union of Shiva and Shakti inside of our body.
So, Gurudev, when we say Tantra, what exactly do we mean by that? Tantra is a method? Is it a process?
See, Tantra, the word itself means anything that you do using your tanu, which is your body.
Okay.
So that way, eating is also a Tantra. Being in love making is a Tantra. You know, just picking up something and keeping it here is also Tantra.
Okay.
Don't we call our universities Tantrika Vidyalayas? So even engineering is Tantra. So Tantra is a very wide meaning. But here I would like to say Tantra is basically when you're dealing with Shakti herself.
All right.
Shakti worship. Now Shakti is in our body, except for Skanda, Ganesha and Jesus. Every other life has originated, human life has originated by the meeting of the male and female. So when you are invoking the feminine in you, that is Tantra.
Acha.
Okay, which is the feminine way is that of surrender. The feminine way is that of patience. The feminine way is that of silent persuasion, non-aggressive. China jhapte kuch nahi hai. She will wait.
Yeah.
And slowly she will bring around the masculine, which is a very aggressive, attacking, forceful, yama niyama based yoga
Into herself.
into her submission very slowly. In our tradition, they say you cannot ask for surrenderance if you are not surrendered yourself.
Absolutely.
You know? So the first thing as a guru, I have to surrender to all the shishyas. मैं आपका ही दास हूँ, you know. So,
Okay. Okay.
So when you deal with Shakti directly, that is Tantra.
Ji.
And when you deal with the Shaivik masculine, like, you know, I'll forcefully do pranayama, which is forcing, no? Because you're forcing a certain way of breathing, or you're focusing, like if you talk to any of the children and you ask them to concentrate, they will feel a certain amount of stress.
Yes.
That's a very masculine way. But if you're watching a film or something that you like a cricket match or whatever they like, they will remember everything, but there's no stress. So that's the feminine way,
Okay.
right? In Natha Sampradaya, the two are combined, and we like to call it as Kriya, a combination of yoga and Tantra.
All right.
So both your sides, male and female, are active and they are doing their respective jobs, and they're uniting at every level, at every dimension.
Okay. But Gurudev, there is Hatha Yoga which is specifically associated with the Nathas.
The Navanathas,
The Navanathas.
Yeah.
Okay. But not all Nathas.
not all Nathas.
So Hatha is also kind of a deliberate action.
It is Hatha, it is not Hatha.
Okay.
Tha is the feminine there.
Acha.
So that is the union of the Ida and Pingala nadis inside of you, the male and female finally.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a misnomer in,
So it is Hatha Yoga.
yeah.
Not Hat.
No.
Acha.
There is a Hatha Yoga part to it, which is like you force yourself to do something.
Ji.
But no yogi worth his salt is ever going to recommend you to keep your hand up all your life. Okay. The human body is a very beautiful and a sacred thing.
Ji.
Why would you want to deliberately destroy one part of it
Ji.
so that the rest of it could get liberated? I am personally not a fan of this kind of yoga.
All right.
But to have resilience, give up till I reach moksha. or I will not give up till I achieve a particular sadhana. That kind of heart is required.
Okay.
Okay, that kind of what do you call sankalpa is required.
Right.
Okay,
Dhrita.
dridata, yeah. That I have decided, and sankalpa again. Who is me? Will be the feminine which will give the energy to do it.
Okay.
So it is more hatha. You see, it deals with. In fact, a tradition or Natha wisdom says, when a female acquires a male like a Rakshas.
Acha.
But when a male acquires a female quality, he becomes divine.
Ah.
So women are therefore more respected. Like, during the Navratris, happens, girls are prayed. That is also a Nath Sampradaya. Why? Because it is finally the Shakti who expresses Shiva.
Acha. Okay.
So they are by nature more creative because they can create a human directly out of their bodies, which men can't. And probably why they are not so bothered about other things. I mean, you will not find them to be great architects or, any of these outer creativity.
Bahirmukhi kriyas.
Yeah, are more predominant in the male.
Male.
And
Isn't this also genetically conditioned in men, Guruji? They have to go out, hunt and then procure food. Is this a way of looking
I
at
think it is one way, yeah, but as we have evolved as a society, you must also understand that I think men find it easier to create outside of themselves because that is how the energy is. They don't have a womb. And they can't see in their son or daughter that entire creativity that a mother can see.
Okay.
A mother can see an extension of herself. कि I give life to this body. मैंने जन्म दिया है, जननी है. कभी पिता जननी नहीं हो सकता. He's an indirect way of putting life into it. So he is always forever trying to express his creativity in other ways.
Okay.
So that is why we see whatever you see today. Violence, war, money, banks, all these calls that you get on your phone, selling something, all this creativity is trying to create something outside of you. And a woman will just watch the children grow and get an independent life of itself or herself or himself, and she's happy.
A different kind of fulfillment for herself.
Yes. And if a man gets that quality to see that all this is his own child, in a way, and give it an independent life, that's so much more fulfilling and more divine. And that is the Natha wisdom.
Okay.
And where would you get this? You would probably get this with nature. Right? You just put a seed and watch it become a tree. There's no effort. At our ashram, people come and they're zapped when they see trees are big, huge, long trees. I tell them I planted them 22 years back by my own hands. And they say, really? Because किसी ने किया है. Nobody has watched a tree grow for 20-25 years in the city. It's so magical that, कल तो इतना था. So
it is.
That is why going back to, nature, learning from nature, learning in nature, and being a part of this seamless, which it is, Jagat, Jagatihi, born out of movement, right? So when we become a seamless part of this whole, it is so much more fulfilling and so much less demanding to prove to yourself or to anyone. The whole, you are basically down into Garden of Eden. This already is the Garden of Eden. This is the heaven that was created. But I don't know why we are trying to change it into something which is non-divine. And we are, this is a losing proposition at the end of it. We will end up destroying what we have inherited which is okay because nature will always bounce back, but we'll also end up destroying mankind itself. That is going to be a tragedy.
That's
We
true.
have already destroyed tens and thousands of species on this earth. So, how do you seamlessly or without conflict live in an urban setting and allow nature to do its work? Because nature is going to provide you everything. There's everything that we have today is coming from nature, coming from Mother Earth.
But there's this human anxiety about, having less resources because the number of people is growing. The population is forever on the rise. So it is an innate fear and a constant fear that there's not going to be enough. And therefore development is necessary.
Do you think it has got to do something with the unawareness of quality people and quantity people? Do we really need, I mean, this is something that we need to ask ourselves, do we really need a resource heavy population? Or can we have good quality? Like, for example, one of the things that we teach, I like to call it in English as ejaculation.
Okay.
Everybody's heard of ejaculation. Ejaculation. That is called Urdhva Retaskara. Okay, and there are many temples of Urdhva Retaskara Shiva.
Ji.
Now the point is, you make a baby when you want. Not using contraceptives, not using a rubber, not using any tablets, but by being of that high quality where you can have fun and get liberated at the same time. And whenever you decide, okay, now I need to pass on my genes, you do it. Do you think that's a better system?
It is a better system, Gurudev. Now, this brings me to my next question. But I have to talk to you about Bharatiyanam before that.
Sure.
Before I ask the next question. But I have another question before that.
Sure.
So I'm going to change the course of conversation just for a while here.
Yeah.
You spoke of Lakulishas, Kalamukhas, Pashupatas. So all these are Shaiva sects. When we say these are Shaiva schools, what do we mean? That they consider Shiva as the ultimate principle? And Anatha is part of this school?
In a very
This tradition, sorry, not the school.
in a very general way, you're right.
Ji.
Okay, Lakulisha was also an Natha. Pashupatas are also Nathas. Kalamukhas are also Nathas. Kalamukha is exclusive to Karnataka.
Ji.
Okay, and most of it is lost.
Ji.
The way of life is lost, not the knowledge itself. Because the wisdom doesn't die.
Do we not find Kalamukhas in Orissa and some temples?
Temples are there, but as a living
Tradition.
yeah, that is almost disappeared.
Ji.
Okay. You can in a very broad way say they are all Shaivas, but
Ji.
then every Vishnu avatara that you can name is a Shaiva.
Okay.
Rama was a Shiva Bhakta, Krishna was a Shiva Bhakta, you name it, Parashurama was a Shiva Bhakta. So everybody is a Shaiva at the end of it.
All right.
But I understand your question.
Ji.
Here's how I like to see Shaiva and Vaishnava.
Ji.
Shiva is an ascetic living with his Shakti in nature. Kabhi Kailash pe, kabhi yahan pe. The only exception is Kashi. Otherwise, you don't find him in a city. He's mostly in a jungle, a cave, something. An ascetic. A grahastha ascetic, a rishi. By nature, he doesn't want to be in an organized city. And things are very simple. If you look at him, he is living off the land. If you look at Vishnu, in South India, we have a saying, popular saying, Shiva Abhisheka Priya, Vishnu Alankara Priya.
Acha.
Okay, so Vishnu is all about Alankar, big temples.
Embellishments.
Yeah, everything. Showman. So when Shiva, according to me, when Shiva decides to show the people of the civilized nature how to live and how to bring about balance between nature and what they think is civilization or culture, he comes as a Bhairava avatara, which is Vishnu,
Ji.
and teaches them what to do. Like in Rama's case, he actually enjoyed being in the Vana. Like, what do you remember of Ramayana? You'll say he was in Vanvas.
Yes.
Why would the Lord of the Lords want to go into the Van? And the answer is there in Ramayana, in all the Ramayans. Let's take Valmiki Ramayana. The answer is he's actually specifically instructed and requested by Atri Maharishi, Rishi, to go and save all the Rishis, the original Vanavasis.
Ji.
This whole idea that somebody who is living in a forest is a tribal is foreign to us. The most spiritually liberated people were living in nature,
In the
and they were
forests.
also protecting the nature and the forest from everybody else who wanted to exploit it.
Ji.
Somehow we have lost that script altogether. And I don't know how Rama, who is the champion of the forest dwellers, has now been turned into an anti-tribal Manuvadi. I have no idea how this has happened. And if we have lost this script, we have ourselves to blame. And I must thank Sangam Talks and so many, like-minded Sanatanis who are trying to bring back what is lost. We have all been mind-washed into thinking that Rama is some sort of a, whatever derogatory king who favored one over the other. Why would he spend 14 years along with his wife when he was a prince to be crowned king the next day?
Yes.
The only reason is to protect forests and forest dwellers.
Ji.
This is one. The second, I showed you the map. I'll be happy to share the map with you if you want. If you look at where he traveled, from Chitrakoot, he goes through Dandakaranya, which is today's Chhattisgarh. Even today, we have forests there. Chhattisgarh is probably the thickest.
Densest forests.
Yeah. And then he goes into Andhra and Tamil Nadu, goes to Hampi, which is in Karnataka. And from there onwards, even today, we have the longest contiguous forests in the world. And what are you trying to do? You're trying to create ghettos in national parks so that they no more remain contiguous.
Okay.
You're cutting jungles off, thinking like cities.
Protecting.
अपनी सोच डाल रहे हैं हम वहाँ पे.
We are thinking of protecting the forests, but what is it doing, Gurudev? When we
You
fence
tell me. When we fence
Ji.
a particular area and don't allow intermixing of the same species, what is going to happen?
Then we have diseases, genetic mutations.
It's only a question of time before it is not just animals, even the habitat, the trees, the shrubs, everything will go down and this is beyond repair. It's time we pull back and say, listen, some sort of a nature policy, Prakriti policy, I don't even want to call it nature. Prakriti policy must be brought in where, I don't know, 50% for human comes. I think that's a fair deal. 50% for the rest of the universe, rest of the planet, and 50% for humans. That's the least we can do. And this will allow us humans to survive better, grow better. And we must re-look at what development means. We must look at the indices. Food and clothing and what? We are animals? Are we livestock? Khana de diya khatam, then what? You want to slaughter humans? What are you being bred for? In the human history, Bharat Mata, which we want to make Vishwa Mata or Vishwa Guru, has been screaming the purpose of life is to achieve divinity.
Yes.
There is nothing else in life. Human ban ke aayo, Bhagwan ban ke jao. And for this, you need to have an ecosystem which supports it. And that is Ramarajya.
So, Gurudev, Natha Sampradaya and Ram Rajya, you have embarked on this very, very wonderful journey called Bharatiyana. So, tell us about this and how does it converge into establishing Ram Rajya?
Well, Ramarajya was an Adesh which I got much earlier than the Natha Sampradaya's order. I mean, I always followed it as a practitioner, as a sadhaka. Okay, but someday I will be sitting here talking about promotion of Rishikula of Natha Rishis or something I never in my wildest dream imagined. But Ramarajya was handed or was ordered as an Adesh in 2002.
Achha.
Yeah, and what happened was I started talking to people I knew, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult to tell people what Ramarajya means. It was very difficult to bring about even a cohesive talk like we are having today. This was rejected in 2002. Nobody wanted to talk about it. I think post 2013, the Modi era has brought about a lot of change. Ram Lala's temple getting inaugurated in Jan 2024 on 22nd is itself, that is the
Momentous occasion.
yeah, it is. And so how to bring about Ramarajya? I was thinking like a normal Macaulay educated person, that we need to create universities, we need to train people, make them Raj Rishis, so that there are enough people in the political sphere of India to usher in Ramarajya. Well, life doesn't always work the way you think it would. And this year, I was also given another Adesh that Bharat Mata has a Kundalini. And it is her will for Ramarajya.
Okay.
To think that any one of us could do something like this is sheer stupidity. So, this year, when a small Sharada temple was made near the POK border of Bharata, I had the chance to sit and connect to her. And if you look at Bharata, it is a conglomeration or a collection of Shakti Peeths. This is a charged land.
Yes.
Okay, every country will say that it is a holy land. So will India, Bharata. But nowhere will they say that Shakti herself has scattered her body parts.
Yes.
You know, this is unique to India.
Yeah.
And then that grid line, which is visible to anybody actually. If you sit and meditate, you'll see, oh, okay, 108, 50 or 51, depending on which school you belong to, or 18 Shakti Peetha, everybody has accepted 18 of them.
Ji.
Then you will see, oh, these Shakti Peethas means energy points, and Bharata is how it is, and we've always called her Mata, isn't it? She is the mother,
Yes.
Mother Earth. And then Sushumna Nadi clearly emerged. Sushumna is the central, energetic
Through which Kundalini rises.
Kundalini rises. That also there was a clean emergence of that. And surprisingly, the whole or the 90% of Ramayana happened in this Sushumna Nadi, which is 75 degrees to 83 degrees east longitude.
Ji.
Okay, where also I think it is still called the Allahabad Meridian, the Indian Standard Time, is calculated in that Sushumna Nadi.
Okay.
Now that was another coincidence. And then when, further revelations or further deep insights, connection into Bharat Mata's Kundalini reveals 7 chakras also falling on the same Sushumna Nadi.
Okay.
Muladhara in Sri Lanka. Shripada. Now, Shripada itself, if you consider one point or one chakra, you will find it is sacred to all. Okay? Shaivas consider it Pada.
Ji.
Bauddha consider it to be Buddha's Pada. Shaktas consider it to be Lakshmi's Pada.
Acha.
Vaishnavas consider it to be Vishnu Pada. It is the footprint of Adam, for Christians and Jews. And it is also considered to be the landing point of Muhammad Prophet when he came down from the heavens. All in one place.
Acha, which is?
Shripada or Adam's Peak in Sri Lanka.
All right.
Now, how crazy is that? Okay. And as you go further north, you find the granthis and the points along the line. You want me to explain everything?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. So, we will have to bring 3 different verticals of Puranas or 3 stories, because it is going to get very technical for the audience. So, we have to look at one Shiva Purana and associated Shakti story.
Right.
Which is the Kundalini stuff we are talking about.
Ji.
Then we have to look at Ramayana and look at the various kandas and what happened in various kandas at what geographic location. 3, we have to look at the Kriya Kundalini yoga itself as to what happens.
Acha.
Okay, so each one, because we are moving from south to north, I will also be explaining the only ulta system you might find is Ramayana.
Acha.
Okay, because Rama is an avatara.
Right.
Rama is coming from the top to bottom.
Ji.
And in the Sanatana Darshanas, there is a bottom-top movement of humans, and they are called Tirthankaras.
Okay.
Tirthankaras still remain with the Jains. So, see, Jain, Baudh, sab ek hi hain. They are all from Sanatana Dharma, looking at Dharma in various perspectives.
Right.
So, when you go from bottom to up, then you become a Tirthankara. When you go from top to bottom, person is called an Avatara. A person who can do both up and down seem easily without any effort is a Trika, which is our Sampradaya finally, which I was put into.
Ji.
Okay. So, if you look at the Swadhisthana Chakra, there are certain qualities attributed to it. It is called the Murcha, or it is the unaware chakra.
Acha.
What happens is when you're born during the Prasava Vedana, during the delivery, you, me, everybody. Of course, I was a cesarean, so I don't think I went through that pain. But most people who are non-cesarean babies give a lot of pain to the mother, and they themselves undergo a lot of pain. So that effort tires the life force in you, which we call as Kundalini.
Ji.
And when the baby is born, तो ये कहते हैं कि कुंडलिनी थक के मूलाधार में सो जाती है.
Acha.
In a 3.5 coiled serpent,
Right.
and it is it is coiled around a linga, Shiva linga.
Right.
Okay, and that Shiva linga has to be risen
Acha.
along with the serpent. Okay.
Ji. Along with the serpent.
Yeah, the serpent itself has the Shiva linga, no, as a money or as a
Okay.
representative.
Okay.
So she is asleep and she is facing downwards. And below are 7 more chakras, which we don't talk about because you have crossed that to come here. They are the Naraka chakras.
Acha.
They are the lower chakras, which you have already crossed to
Be born as a human.
born up. Yeah. So you've already crossed that.
Acha.
Now you can do something about it and move towards Shiva. Or you can be unaware and go back to an animal or whatever life, lower form, and then come back again. That is where we get that, 85 lakh yonis. So many,
84 lakh. हाँ.
84 lakh
84 lakh. हाँ.
births you have already encountered to be born as a human.
That's true.
So if you directly go into the Kundalini Kriya, then whatever you do inside will elevate you and take you on a higher consciousness. Now, this is what we are doing for Bharat Mata as the collective consciousness of Bharata.
Okay.
There is an entire subject in modern science or psychology called memology.
Okay.
It's called a meme. Now, I know meme will mean something else to the young audience. But if you can, I don't know, edit it and show what memology is, what memes are. Memes are basically what we call as chitta, a collective consciousness. No, of a culture or a civilization.
Okay.
So, for example, what is the difference, fundamental difference between Abrahamic person and a Sanatani? They believe in, first of all, they believe, and we don't. We are not a land of believers, we are a land of discoverers.
Okay.
Okay, and they are, so the belief is very important, faith is very important for them. For us, doubt is very important.
Yes.
You start doubting everything. So here, they will tell you that YOLO culture, you only live once.
So, okay.
And if you look at the Brahminic or the Sanatani culture, thought form, you will say, oh, you live forever.
Yeah.
That is what I was saying, in a lower form, higher form, blah, blah. So you're always being recycled. There is no death at all, So fundamentally, when you think I'm not going to come back, you will behave in a certain way, your thoughts will be in a certain way, and you will feel, jaldi, let me exploit this world, and you are given the whole world for exploitation, by the way.
That is the
That is another one. Yeah, that is another point that they have. Here you are at best a custodian. At best, you are actually a dasa. But let's say at best you are a custodian of nature and prakriti. There you are the bhoktra of it.
Yes.
So everything is for your consumption. So I mean, I can go on and about, but there are fundamental differences in how any culture or civilization thinks and carries these memories forward.
Right.
That's called memology.
All right.
So Bharata, which we call as chitti or chitta, some people call it. Chitti is a better word because it is a subset of the chitta itself. A small chitti. the fancy. Abhi garam pani pina hai. Also actually.
Okay.
So these memes are carried forward. Now the idea that was handed over to me, or the adesh that was handed over to me, was that Bharata's Kundalini awakening will also result in the awakening of the Chitti. She will discover how beautiful, how confident, how loving, how wise she is. She is not a land of losers. They have been telling us constantly that Aryans came from somewhere and conquered you. You're a land of losers. They came and told us that, the Islamic culture conquered you. You're a bunch of losers. And then they told us that the Europeans conquered you and you're a bunch of losers, which is not at all true. The story of India is the story of the greatest resistance in the world. Today I was reading a small booklet about the religions of Lithuania.
Okay.
Okay, and they had written, we proudly resisted the Catholic forces for 30 years.
Okay.
30. We have proudly resisted all kind of forces forever.
Yes.
Right. So that is the difference. And we will re-emerge. Now, how we do that? One is to, awaken the chitta that is there in every person. Every Sanatani, Hindu, Jain, Buddha, Sikh, by birth knows what I'm talking about. Okay? This need not get, we not get into a lot of explanation, but they understand कि जन्म जन्म का बात. So when you say जन्म जन्म से हम जानते हैं, that is the end of it. You already know it. So when we come to the Bharat Mata's Kundalini awakening, at the Muladhara is the Murcha Avastha, very close to the animal. And if you look at Ramayana's depiction of Ravana's Lanka, you will find, that he was a very basic carnal instigator, though he was a great Brahmin or whatever. But his lifestyle, see, we are not bothered how much you know. Why we cannot, respect Marx. He goes around having babies with his servants, or one servant, okay. The thing is, it just can't be appreciated. No matter how brilliant his mind was, his behavior was something else. On the other hand, here is Rama to be crowned king tomorrow, and tonight he says, I will go into Vanvas, let my brother have the biggest kingdom in the world at that time.
Yes.
The Tyaga Bhava. We respect that because it was in action. Muh zabani nahi bol raha tha, chhod dunga.
He was going to do it.
He did it.
He did it.
Right?
Right.
So we respect that.
Ji.
And why we don't respect Marx? Because and then he never accepted the son. He kept on calling him bastard.
Okay.
His own son. So we don't respect that kind of behavior. No matter how brilliant you are. And Marx did have a good mind. So did Ravana. Right? But what did he do? He went and abducted other people's wives. Now here is Rama, who is on the mission to establish one man, one woman. And everything in Lanka was opposite to it.
Yeah.
Sone ki Lanka hai, it's all about money, zar zoru zameen, power is might, I am stronger. If you look at US society today, there is a certain amount of bullying culture that exists there in schools and colleges. Somebody who is stronger is actually respected and revered.
Yes.
Not so much in India. यहाँ बड़े-बड़े लोगों को गिरा दिया है. Because here, the brain, the intellect, your behavior is more respected. Not that India is still great. India needs a lot of work to be done to go back to its glory. But certainly better than might is right. Like, Romila Thapar, I'm going to say one small thing. I think Romila Thapar at one place regretfully says that in the entire, of course, her understanding is very Marxist, regretfully says that in the entire world, either people with money like the Jews control the society, or people with muscle power like the Greeks, the Athenians, the Spartans, they control. या तो बाजुबल चाहिए या पैसे का बल चाहिए.
अच्छा.
बट सिर्फ भारत में ऐसे हुआ कि ब्राह्मण जिनके पास ना पैसा है ना बाजुबल है, they were on top of the ladder. That is her understanding. That is not right. But from a Marxist point of view, India is lost on them. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because
Totally,
what they
totally.
see as the top of the ladder has nothing. No money, no army.
True.
So we have a different, unique system which they or the Machiavellian education system can never make us understand. Thankfully, the institutions are still alive. Let's bring them back into reality. To do that, just as Rama went down to destroy Ravana, we need to bring the Chitta, we need to bring her Kundalini up now.
Okay.
Okay, and the second stop for us would be Rameshwaram, where there is what we call as a Granthi, which is a karmic knot. What stops you from understanding you are Shiva? You are Shiva, right? Yes, you know that?
Yeah. Oh, well, I just said it.
What
No.
stops you? The answer is you yourself,
Yes.
right? So here, if you see what happened, because Ramayana will give us a simpler understanding of what happened. You will see that Rama is worshipping
Shiva.
Shiva as a separate entity, even though he knows. So this is what happens below the Granthi, where there is a complete separation between me and my divinity.
Well, Rama tells us this through his worship of Shiva that I am showing this as a separate entity, but he actually knows it. But how did this karmic Granthi accumulate for the country?
How it must have got accumulated, because I'm not very sure as to how it happened. But I think over a period of time, the whole idea that we are divine beings having human experiences. Shall I say that again?
Yes.
We are divine beings having human experiences. This is the wisdom has got lost. And we feel that we are humans having divine experiences once in a while.
Okay.
So this,
Okay.
and it's a thin line.
Ji.
So this has got accumulated in the Chitta of Bharata. Also because, see, what happens is, you've heard of Bal Hut. Always the lower is able to dominate the higher.
Prevail.
Always. So when the Abrahamic, Islam and then the Christianity, which think they know everything, this is the only way. अभी बच्चे जो होते हैं ना, they will come and tell you this is the only way. Why? Because third standard में कहा ये. Third standard के टीचर ने आज बोला there are only 7 colors, whip gaya, and that is it. If you say no, there are more colors and you can combine, no, she's not going to accept it. A 3rd-year-old kid.
Yes.
You just have to wait for them to grow. But the problem is when they remain in 3rd standard and don't grow at all.
Okay.
Okay, that is where the Kshatra Pravritti must come in.
Right.
Which is happily not the case right now, because we are such a unique world where we are connected digitally. Anybody who makes sense can communicate in a very peaceful manner what he or she wants to say. So hopefully all our gurus, all our Mandaleshwars, all our rishis can come through mediums like this, digitally reach the people. And I'm already told people in Pakistan, Iran, they are evolving into some higher consciousness. They don't know where to go, but they are evolving out of this Abrahamic mindset, but they don't know where to go. I'm told that it is happening in a very big way.
All right.
Europe is claiming back its paganism. It is moving away from Christianity.
Yes.
US is 50% yogic in whatever way they know. Don't you see a resurgence of spirituality all over the world? I'm very optimistic. It's just a question of 1 or 2 generations. Not very far, because we will not be able to sustain. I remember, okay, whatever side Al Gore belongs to, right, left, center, it doesn't matter. But he got one thing right. That there is a maximum sustainable human capacity for planet Earth. That I think was fixed around 4.5 billion people. If I remember properly. I was slightly younger then. And we're already about 8 billion. We're almost close to the double population that Earth can sustain. So what do? Do we keep increasingly consuming the resources? One, of course, over a period of time, in 2 to 3 generations, we can bring the population down to quality population. Okay? This must be told to all the people who are baby manufacturing factories. Not to Jains, who are already a minority.
Yes.
We have to be clear also in that. Right? The second point is consume less resources, no Baba?
Yes.
Do you ask yourself, I tell my students, ask yourself, do you need to breathe now? Can you understand? If you run very fast, you need to breathe more.
Yes.
You need to really run.
Okay.
Okay? Running hard will mean more resources, more food, more wear and tear to your body. What is it going to be? That means what? I'm not saying don't exercise.
Yeah, I get
There's a time for exercising. There's a time for running a mad race, around that rat wheel. What is that? The hamster wheel. So do you really need to go around the hamster wheel? And the highest consumers in the world, US, are not even looking at what they are doing.
Yes.
A friend of mine came from US and we were driving, and I just asked, what car do you drive? Some Ford pickup truck. And I said, it must be a gas guzzler. And he tells me, India is far too fuel efficient for his liking.
Oh, okay.
Because we can't go very far. None of our cars can go very fast, according to him.
Okay.
Or we don't have the right roads to rip, the throttle or anything. So they have a different mindset. I'm not talking about India here. I'm talking about humanity. Who will show the way?
So if we think of ourselves as Vishwa Guru, then it is incumbent upon us to show the way.
I
we have
would
this
rather
wisdom.
say look at Bharat Mata as Vishwa Mata.
Oh, okay. Not Vishwa Guru.
She is the Guru,
Yes.
right? Because when you say Vishwa Guru, some people might say, we know better than you. We have the heart of a mother. Bharat Mata se Vishwa Mata easy hai translation. Right? That is what we are doing with Bharatyana.
Ji.
Of course, she is also the Guru. She is the first Guru, probably the greatest Guru. No mother can be replaced by any other Guru after that.
True.
So let us go around spreading what we know, what we have. And proudly. I know there might be a lot of people in your viewers, other viewers, who might say, oh, Guru Natha is talking nonsense. And I am mad. And I hope this madness catches on. It's better than coronavirus, isn't it? So coming back to this, the separation of granthis, separation of myself from divinity needs to be plugged back. Every Indian, there's a song, very popular song in the, some circles of India where it goes like, Chandan hai is desh ki maathi, tapo bhumi har gram hai. हर बाला देवी की प्रतिमा बच्चा बच्चा राम है. गाना तो गा रहे हैं ना, समझ लो ना इसको. चंदन है इस देश की माटी, तपो भूमि हर ग्राम है, हर बाला देवी की प्रतिमा, सब बालक, बच्चा बच्चा राम है. How difficult is this for us to accept that this is what Bharata is? And that can be done as soon as we plug in this lingam,
Okay.
This granthi is to be plugged by what we call as a Swayambhu lingam.
Acha.
Okay? Where everybody understands the divinity. Swayambhu का मतलब क्या है? शंभु. कि मैं ही तो वो हूँ और कौन है? And hopefully every Indian understands that he is Bharatiya and therefore Swayambhu.
Okay.
And which is in Rameshwaram, which is on mainland India.
Ji.
And then we go to, of course, we move through the whole of Andhra Pradesh, which is still maintaining the temple architecture, the temple way of life, temple towns.
Yes.
Some great ones like even Thiruvananthapuram, we go, which is in Kerala, Kanyakumari, Thiruvananthapuram, Madurai, Kamakshi, Puducherry, Chennai, Tirupati. I might have left a few towns, Tirupati, where of course the great Balaji exists there, which is in Andhra Pradesh. And then we enter into my home state, which is Karnataka, where the Swadhisthana lies in Chamundeshwari temple. Swadhisthana means Swa Adhisthana, the place where she should be. Who? Kundalini should be.
Okay.
So only once you understand that you are divine, will you get the power to raise the Kundalini up.
Okay.
And if you look at the story of Chamundeshwari herself, where she kills Mahishasura, a buffalo shape,
Ji.
the lethargy has to be killed.
Gotcha.
The tamas, as we
Tamas,
call it, has to be killed. And that is when the whole of Bharata's chitti will also get activated to raise it above.
Okay.
Okay. From Swadhisthana, we move northwards to Hampi, which is in the Manipura Chakra. Hampi is also Kishkinna, jahan pe Vanar.
Ji.
It's part of the big, Manipura is a very big chakra of Bharat Mata also. Vanara means Nara Va Nara. Are you human?
Or not.
Not. So in the Kundalini Kriya Yoga, all the vertical, all the sampradayas, they'll tell you that once you reach the Manipura, you will be born as a human. That's a guarantee.
Okay.
You will not be a Vanara.
Okay.
Thing is, you have to cross it.
Okay.
And it takes some effort to do that.
Okay.
Okay? Because I told you, we are a Kriya Yoga is a combination of yoga and Tantra. So there is surrendering to the Shakti, force of the Shiva. दोनों को combine करके आगे बढ़ना.
Okay.
So at Brahmaramba temple, Srishailam, because it is also very bright, that is where Surya Narayana resides. The Manipura, the Mani,
Ji.
which means bright,
Yes.
is also the only other physical place where a Shakti Pitha and a Jyotirlinga exists.
Together.
Apart from the Sahasrara. Yeah, they exist together. The Brahma exist together. So they or awaken, activate she is, but awaken her to move northwards, upwards. And between the Manipura, which is the heart chakra, is another Granthi.
Okay.
Okay. Lowest one was called the where I am separate.
Okay.
Okay. The second one is Vishnu Granthi, where the sadhaka, I am the doer.
Okay.
Why does that happen? Look at Ramayana. Acha, Ramayana, Vanara story and all that happened. If you look at Ramayana, there is a place in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana now, called Bhadrachalam, a little further from Bhadrachalam, Parnashala, where it is said that Sita was kidnapped. She becomes Vaidehi, जो देह से बाहर हो गई, राम के देह से. So which is Bharat Mata only. So as soon as your Shakti is lost, the divine Shakti is lost, you think I am doing something. She is no more with me.
Okay.
So we'll plug that also with a Banalingam
Okay.
at Bhadrachalam, and we'll go further to Dantewada, which is the Anahata Chakra. If you look at Bharat Mata's heart, it is beating in Dandakaranya. That is where it is. It is not beating in a city. She is the dweller, she is, we call as Vanamala. Her mala is Vanas,
Okay.
isn't it?
She wears the garlands of
Garlands of forests. So where else would a heart beat except Dantewada? And there we activate the Anahata, or the awaken the Anahata, so that she blesses a constant flow and ebb of the Sanatana wisdom into the world. Right? And by then, I am pretty sure that every Bharatiya, every Sanatani will be aware of what is happening and will participate in Bharatiyana, either directly or indirectly or spiritually. And we move further to the Vishuddhi Chakra, which is in Chitrakoot.
Okay.
Where if you take Ramayana, Rama spent. I want to say what happened in Dantewada and Ramayana. All the Rakshasas of the forest were killed in that Dandakaranya.
True.
And if you go even today, you'll find institutes dedicated to bamboo making. They will tell you that Sita taught us.
Basket weaving.
Basket weaving. Who taught you? Sita taught you. Archery. Who taught you? Rama taught you. We make plowing, hull. Who taught you farming? Rama taught us. Even today, the memory of the human past
Remains.
of this great avatara who came down to the jungles and cleared small clearings just so they can sustain, not destroy the forest. And taught them agriculture, taught them basket making, taught them weaving. Even today, we have these memories alive. That is the heart. You know, there's a subject called man-land relationship in sociology. Man-land. Nobody has perfected this more than Bharatiya culture. That's why we have remained as the only surviving civilization.
True.
Because we have mastered the art of everywhere else land is conquered. Here we serve the mother earth.
Yes.
So that if you look at Chhattisgarh even today, the Dandakaranya, you will find how Ramayana has affected it and how Bharata's dil ki dhadkan jo hai na, wo Ram, 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 Ram ye hai aaj bhi. So let's go further to the Vishuddhi Chakra, which is where 12 years of the Vanavasa of Rama was spent. Here's where he meets all the rishis. He understands what is Rishikula. He understands how to keep. See, rishis are in a way most sophisticated, but in a way most natural.
Yeah.
So here's a coin for all the viewers. Sanatana Dharma is about being natural by training. Because training itself is unnatural. By definition, training means something unnatural,
You are learning something that you do not know already.
which is not naturally an instinct of yours. Animals know some things. They are not trained. Their instincts come out.
Yes.
Their training is for their instinct to come out. But here are rishis who are extremely sophisticated, aren't they?
They are.
They have this unique language called Sanskrit, which is very close to thought itself. They have a way of life which is taking them towards divinity, which is taking them towards Aham Brahmasmi, beyond also. Yet they remain very natural.
Yes.
Where else do we see this? And Chitrakoot is the Vishuddhi, the sound of the Vedas, the silence of the Agamas, the chants of the rishis, the practices of Tantra, Agama, the Nathas. They all exist in the Kantha, the Vishuddhi Chakra of Bharat Mata. We have awakened the Shaktipitas, the Gayatri Chakra. The wisdom of Bharata becomes worldwide. It reaches everywhere. Hopefully, the press picks us up and says, hey, this is the... And Ram is not a utopia. And people, even if people start talking about Ramarajya by then, and there are debates as to what Ramarajya is.
Tell us what it is.
Oh, it has to be experience. It has to be experience.
But then give us a blueprint, please. Then what is the thought in your mind when you say...
Well, there is
Ram
actually
Rajya?
no thought at all. I see it as clear as day.
Yeah.
Rama Dharma Rajya. Dharma is the natural order of things. Live, let live. And if you look at Valmiki Ramayana, there are a few points. There are not much things given there, but these points itself are enough. There is no Akala Mrityu. No father sees the dead body of a son or a daughter. What does that mean? There is a Marxist, now I think they have become the other way, but 10 years back, what was this channel? I think Aaj Tak or one of these were very Marxist, and they did a series on Ramarajya and they interpreted these points.
Acha.
They said this means effective medical system like Cuba.
Okay.
Okay, it Marxist है वो अपने में सोचते हैं, ठीक है सोचने दो. But the point is no akala mrityu, no young death.
Person dies, yes.
So you die of old age, which means to say medical system उनको समझ में आता ना, but it's a way of life. What you are eating should be pure. What we are eating is full of phosphates and there is no minerals, and you have to. I've been advised to have mineral tablets outside of my regular food, क्योंकि food में नहीं है.
Yeah.
Is this? Do you want this? This is not quality life. You're just being consumers of pharmaceutical and other interests. ये तो नहीं होगा. Everybody is entitled to good health. Health is physical. It also means
Health.
it also means the ability to step forward when required, step back when it's required. In health. हेल्थ क्या है? 100 किलो उठा लिया हेल्दी है? ऐसा नहीं होता है ना. People don't today. I have so many youngsters coming to my ashram asking for mental health, which was something important. Could you imagine that there would be some mental health crisis in this country?
Never actually, yes.
Yeah, but at least once visited their mental health thing in their colleges. Some story I read in Bangalore.
Okay.
Every college has a mental health department now.
Okay.
You know, some good colleges or so-called good colleges, whatever, you know. So where are we heading? So Ramrajya mein ye to nahi hoga. Second, all sentient beings will find a respective habitat.
Okay.
All of them. It's not just human. It's not human centric. हाथी को जहाँ रहना है वहाँ होगा, चींटी को जहाँ रहना है वहाँ होगा. Elephant has its own place, an ant has its own place. And everybody must be maintained within the kingdom.
Right.
In their respective swasthana.
Okay.
Now, how do we explain all this? 3. The word Ayodhya means Avadhya, that which cannot be destroyed. The boundaries of the country, the nation are so strong that it is peaceful. And only in periods of peace is culture, spirituality transferred.
Yes.
दादा दादी नाना नानी ही बच्चों को सिखाते हैं, माता पिता नहीं सिखा पाते.
True.
There is a very healthy system of Vanaprastha and Gurukula. Both of them are outside the city, sustaining the natural forests. गुरुकुल कहाँ है? फॉरेस्ट में. वानप्रस्थ कहाँ है? फॉरेस्ट, वन में. तो बचा कौन सिटी में? और stuff about water management also, land. So water management के बारे में है. So this, let me recall which channel it was. They gave the example of Thames River.
Acha.
And for the Gurukula, they gave the example of some Scandinavian country. I think it was Norway or something, which was the best education system in the world.
Finland probably?
Finland maybe, yeah. It's very old. I saw it about 10 years back. Somebody specifically told me, तुम क्या राम राज्य बनाओगे? Marxism में already है, देखो इसको.
Acha.
So I did see all of them. And ये राम राज्य के बारे में the leftist media then, ABP News, did an entire series. Maybe you can Google it, you'll find it. ABP News it was. Healthcare, water management, education, old age management. It is not a capitalistic form, nor is it completely welfare social. So it is somewhere in between.
Okay.
If you look at Vanaprastha texts, like, okay, can I sidetrack a little?
Yes, please do.
If you look at any Veda, for example, if you ask a Brahmana and ask him what Veda you belong to. At least in the south, they'll tell you, I am a Rigvedi, or I am a Yajurvedi, or I am a Samavedi, Atharvavedi. Or every Veda has 4 parts.
Yes.
You are aware of that.
Ji.
Samhita, Brahmana,
Aranyak
Aranyaka,
and Upanishads.
and Upanishad.
Ji.
So Brahmana, the Samhita are meant for brahmacharis and grihasthas,
Yeah. Okay.
for their daily use.
Acha.
It is they say Hinduism or Sanatana doesn't have user manual. It is there.
Okay.
Look at the Brahmana, that is your user manual. For the Vanaprasthis, there are the Aranyakas. And for the Sannyasis, there is Upanishad.
Upanishads.
So, how to live in a village and how to live in a city is very well maintained. Okay? Now, the Shiva and the Vaishnava. For example, I was sitting for some time in a cave in the Himalayas, meditating. What Varna do I belong to? Am I Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudra, what am I? Samaj में ही तो ये सब है ना.
That's true.
Once you are out of this Samaj, does it matter who you are? This is effective societal management, society management. And कौन से समाज में नहीं है ये? Which samaj doesn't have intellectuals and teachers? Which samaj doesn't have administrators
yes.
and army or so-called administrative? तो हर जगह है. How many which society doesn't have some even barter traders? They are present in some lower forms of society. And service. Tell me which society doesn't? Doesn't America have it?
Of
Europe
course.
have it? Africa have it? What are we talking about? If it becomes by birth, that is a problem. But it was never meant to be by birth. Janmana jayate shudraha samskarat bhavet dvijaha. बार बार हमको मिलता है by birth everybody is a shudra. संस्कारात भवेद द्विजा, जो संस्कार वो लेता है, मतलब whatever training he gets, and all of them are equally important.
Yes. The society cannot function otherwise.
Absolutely. And all the Marxist idea of पैर से शूद्र निकले, अपने पैर कटवा के देखें कौन सा इंपॉर्टेंट है, पैर है कि सर, कटवा लेना फिर. every organ is that important, isn't it? So a society which understands the need, see there I can almost sound like a Marxist, and understands the need of every person and delivers, gives the opportunity for the opportunity of expression, not the opportunity of entry.
Huh.
है ना?
True.
So that is where the ancients had, I think, got a very beautiful balance of society. Where they lost the plot is, of course, naturally bhi hota hai when you have 1,000 years of, Pandits to
Evolution
beta
of society,
becoming
yes.
Pandit, and naturally it gets crystallized.
Yes.
So we have to make people understand this is very fluidic, and this is the biggest challenge in the Bharatiya Samaj right now. To explain to people कि Varna is a very fluid thing.
Yes.
And Jati सिर्फ दो ही हैं. That is the Purush Jati and the Stri Jati, जो हम में भी है, plants में भी है, फल में भी है, प्राणियों में भी है. It is there everywhere. Even trees have jatis, they have Stri Jati and Purush Jati.
Yes.
And if you go to a village, they'll tell you, ये अच्छी जाति की नहीं है.
हाँ.
हाँ, No in Sanatana Hindu Dharma or any other Sanatana form ever talks about four colors.
Yes.
And how do you go in? Vivekananda has beautifully, Swami Vivekananda has beautifully formulated how to find out which Varna you belong to according to your Prakriti and Pravritti. आपकी प्रवृत्ति mental, because he belongs to a certain Brahmin family. Into that Prakriti and Pravriti, to provide opportunity for expression of the divinity in every one of us. That is the job of the government, isn't it?
That's true.
So that is Ramarajya. Of course, this is my own. I see only enlightened rishis, Raja rishis, being leaders. Right now, we are still in a colonial system. We might have a very beautiful, very evolved head of state. The top might be very good, but it doesn't trickle down, is my feeling. So we need to have my own state, Mysore state, had a Raja, Krishna Raja Wadiyar, who was called the Raja Rishi by Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
तो ये बहुत पुराना कोई वो नहीं है. We can again create Raja Rishis. Raja Rishi is, for example, in any of the Indian languages, you will see the word for leader is Neta, Netara or Nayak. Everything has to do with Netra or Nayan, the third eye. You also have a small bindi.
Ji.
I also have something on my forehead, indicating the third eye, the inner eye. the enlightened eye. And only someone who can see inside out should lead people and make others start looking inside out. That's a Rajarishi.
Okay. When you say inside out, Gurudev, what exactly do you mean? Somebody who has a vision?
Where do you exist right now?
This is a tough one, but I know the answer
Okay. Yeah.
from you. So this is going to be a rehearsed answer.
That's okay. That's okay. As long as the viewers also
So
get
I
it.
exist in your mind.
Absolutely. But right now you think you exist inside the skin, right? The skin separates me from inside and outside.
Yeah.
So all the people who think I exist inside the skin, very easily in our Sanatana Hindu Dharma or Buddha, in fact, specializes in it, be given an eye which looks inside. The antahkarana, the inner workings become visible. Because the inner working is where you really exist. So my image is going through this camera and reaching each of your viewer. So he or she is seeing all this podcast in his or her mind's eye. Now, if he or she becomes aware of it, if only I could say become aware and you could become aware, then you will see that I exist in your mind.
Right.
Right? Now, somebody who knows that the outside and inside are basically my own perception, will also stop at that very moment, cease to be an individual.
Okay.
We'll see this as a collective whole. One particular party has this entire theory as their political basis. Ekatma Manavtavad.
Acha.
The whole Manavta is one Ekatma. All policies must be formed according to that Ekatma, which we are all connected to. That is the one Atma, right?
That's true.
And in the Ramayana itself, considering that we'll go a little further up, the Agnya Chakra, which is in Nepalganj Bageshwari temple, we will awaken the Agnya Chakra, which makes everybody see inside and they start living outside. See, kuch bhi aapko karna hai. I want to lift this mobile. Pehle to it will come in my mind, lift this mobile, and then the action will happen. But right now, our leadership, statecraft, policies worldwide are dominated by the Abrahamic religion, which separate divinity from man.
Yes.
ये तो ऋषि तत्व नहीं हुआ ना? Why are we accepting it? I will give you the example of our glorious, tiny but very significant neighbor, Bhutan, where they have a history of happiness. Do you know that?
Yeah.
They count gross national happiness and it is given much higher preference than GDP or GNP.
Right.
GNH, gross national happiness. We, Bharata, which gave Ramarajya, we cannot have GNH. We cannot think in terms of happiness. We are so far away because we've been mind washed. The tragedy is not that this land was ruled by foreign power. The tragedy is that we have lost our chitti. We have lost our own self-identity, which is so distinct. Okay, if it was slightly different from others, fine, but it will be a great, here's how I see the world. Just as the human body has two halves. Actually, you can divide the human body in half, and you'll probably see that it's very similar to the two halves. In the Sanatana, we have the right male and the left female.
Ji.
That's why the left is also called Vame. Wife is also called Vame.
Vama.
Because she's on the left.
Yeah.
Okay? And we have to integrate them
Ji.
to become one full. Because my parents met, I am here. I have my mother and my father in me. So do you, so do every one of us. Similarly, even the brain, the artistic half and the logical, mathematical half, they exist as two separate. They are distinct, like just the male and female. They are also very distinct.
True.
I see the entire world as a very Abrahamic, male, forceful West and a very Brahminical, surrendered East. And this is the time where we have to mix the two. We already have West in us. And the East or the India is already penetrating into the West. To accept this and bring about a unified way of living and policy and statecraft.
Okay. So this is not just our Indian view, Bharatiya view, but also merging and using the Western methodology or ideas.
That is why it is Sri Ramarajyam, no? Sri Sita, who has gone underground, needs to be awakened. The feminine is out. We already have, the intellectual. I don't think any other country has the intellectual capital that we have.
No doubt.
What we don't have is the heart or the resilience. जितना एक स्त्री resilience भी है, but somehow the mind says you are weak because you are resilient. We need to accept it's being vulnerable is being the strongest. Of course, you are a woman, but up to the guy.
Yes.
Is a woman so revered? All men are scared of women. Simply because she has the resilience to take and yet emerge victorious. Well, a man can only do some physical. Need to bring a healthy balance. देखिए, I'm not saying switch off electricity, go back to darkness. ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. Ramarajya.
Do you also mean to imply modernity and traditionalism merging as one? Is this what you mean?
When you say modernity, are you saying scientific temper?
Yes.
Yes. But if you're saying modernity, wasteful living, no.
No, not that.
Okay.
What
Science.
are the good things that the science has given us?
Science is the parpota of or parpoti of spirit. Keep questioning. By the way, all this experiment is done. In every subject in the world ends up with a doctorate of philosophy. Finally, you have to philosophize. Or philosophy ka rishi hai, Bharata. Okay.
Yes.
So if they philosophized, okay, long story short, they came to a point where they said, I cannot doubt myself. Whether my existence is there or not, you cannot think beyond it. They iterated the thoughts and they said, I exist, therefore I question. No? Science says, whoever is questioning, you cannot go beyond that.
Yes.
In Trika, our Nata tradition, Kashmir Shaivism, they have iterated it to 3.
Okay.
See, I don't want to say thinker, but the knower, the known, and the knowledge.
Okay.
All 3 must exist. You cannot boil it down further.
Okay.
Okay, isn't this scientific?
It is.
And it must be done inside of you. It must be done in every leader of ours. It must be done in every Rajrishi. ऐसे तुमको वोट देते हैं. Because you belong to a certain caste which is false anyways in the first place.
True.
How are you going to lead? Don't we need Rajarishis? Don't we need Ramarajya? This whole thing, the traveling of the Padukas are symbolic reminder to all Bharatiya Sanatanis that because time is cyclical, yug to aata rahega, jata rahega. And because we believe that this is a belief because we can all be in different yugas. I can be in Satya Yuga, you can be in Treta Yuga, he can be in Dwapar Yuga. I'm sorry, but you could be in Kali Yuga. Okay? So, we can all be in separate yugas depending on how evolved or involved you are.
Yes.
At certain point in Treta Yuga, Sri Rama himself will come and like Bharata waiting for Rama's return, we can place the Padukas and remind ourselves that this land belongs to Rama. Rama an individual, Rama a thought, Rama Rajya the highest form of governance.
The ideal.
The ideal. Right? We still need some ideals to work with.
Yes.
Right? When we say this table is 4 meters long, a meter is sitting somewhere. It is not with us.
Yes.
But we understand what it is.
Yes.
So, these Padukas, which by the way we have been praying for the last 20 years at our ashram, will move along the Sushumna Nadi and finally come to Ayodhya.
Okay.
Where there's another Granthi, the most difficult Granthi, which is called the Rudra Granthi.
Okay.
When you're going up, the Rudra Granthi must be opened to finally collapse all boundaries between me and Rudra
Acha.
as a sadhaka.
Okay.
Finally, Bharata must accept that she is the divine mother. And then you will see that the entire world are just naughty children trying to play, and we will deal with them that way. We have the wisdom to deal with them that way.
Okay.
I think the other day somebody was asking me the question about the right to hate and all that. A mother can never hate a child, but she can correct, she can
Discipline.
but she will never hate. So we first need to see ourselves as the mother, we should see ourselves as the guru, then the world will follow, definitely. The world already does. आधा अधूरा knowledge में ही world accept कर रही है अभी.
True.
Once our potential is that not why the Chinese Huansangs and the Fahians came, the Al-Barunis came, everybody from the world converged into Bharata.
Yeah.
Why? Because she vibrated as a mother.
Yeah.
I don't see it as an impossibility. In fact, I see it happening very soon. And on Jan 22nd, when Ram Lala is born on earth in the temple at Ayodhya, we will be moving from Rameshwaram mainland. Of course, we would have 15th, the rituals start on 15th,
Ji.
Makara Sankranti. And we will be, awakening the Muladhara on that day and reaching Bharata mainland, which is Rameshwaram, on 22nd.
Okay.
तो यहाँ पे राम लला प्रकट हो जाएंगे, वहाँ पे कुंडलिनी भी जाग जाएगी.
Okay. Simultaneously.
Yes, and we will be coming hopefully by March 8th, because a very long 11,000 kilometer journey. And
108.
4 countries of happen in this trip.
All right.
Second phase में होगा, which is Tibet,
All right.
Mount Kailas, जो
Ji.
because of the weather conditions.
Weather.
We will have the event there on Mahashivratri.
Okay.
Got the permissions yet. Bharata is also converging because it is Mahashivratri at Ayodhya,
Okay.
and we are all connected through energies and thoughts, and we will be able to install Rama Padukas. Legitimate. When there is a mudra, by the way, if you know, this is what the Guru Paduka mudra
Ji,
is.
ji, ji, ji.
And Sarvalokasya Yogakshemam Vidasyataha. Bharata says this when he keeps the Padukas. And it is said that Bharata was guided by Rama through his Padukas.
Ji.
Who comes to the power after is guided by the Ram Padukas, and I think in our own way we have initiated Sri Ramarajyam on earth. बाकी भारत माता की इच्छा और बाकी राम जी की इच्छा.
This has been a wonderful conversation, Gurudev, and I think we are very lucky to see all this happen in our lifetime. Your yatra, our all this awakening of Bharat, the consciousness of Bharat in its entirety. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me,
Namaste.
Shri Shambho Ramanatha. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.